This video is brought to you by...
Hi, this is Vegeta, Prince of all Saiyans. When I'm not being a monkey myself, I find myself on junkymonkeys.com. Idiots.
Alright, first thing is, I just want to start off this interview by saying it's an honor. I've been watching Dragon Ball Z all my life. It's my favorite anime. And so leading into the first question, this is the first time that Dragon Ball Z has come to the big screen in North America. And, you know, just seeing how the fans supported it. I mean, everybody went out to pick up the Blu-ray that just came out a couple weeks ago or a week ago. And when it came to the big screen, everybody went to see it. So emotionally, how did it impact you to see how the fans supported it?
Oh, it was amazing. But this was definitely a case where I think all of us who worked on it were just as crazy about it as any fan was. I went and saw it in the theater 4 times. Sean Schemmel, I think, saw it in the theater 4 times, or 5 times even, because he went to another screening of it. We are really excited about it. Remember, it's like it's almost like we've been all of the other Dragon Ball we've been working on for the last God knows how many years, 15 years for me. It's almost like it's been this rehearsal to get into these characters so that we can then do this movie. So it was so awesome and so cool to actually finally have new material. So
amazing.
The fans, I mean, this film happened to have showed up at just the right time too, because I've been experiencing this like incredible resurgence of love from fans at conventions these days, as people who are your age, and I guess I can imagine you're somewhere in your 20s or something, or even 30s, people who are watching that show when they were 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, or in college, are all experiencing this like crazy nostalgia for Dragon Ball again, and it's awesome. The movie could not have come at a better time.
So my next question is, speaking on films, you and Sean together have worked on a lot of films, and since Sean isn't here, I'm going to ask you this question. What was your favorite Dragon Ball Z film that you guys worked on?
Well, easily this one. The other ones we did years and years and years ago, and they were stacked on top of. It was still around the same time that we were working on the episodes. So for us, those movies were almost a little confusing because we'd work on them and go, okay, wait, what? What timeline is this? This doesn't make any sense. Like Lord Slug, how would that have fit into the storyline? So I did like, and I just think that this movie has the most spirit to it than any of the other ones do. The other ones are just a typical Dragon Ball Z, fighting movie, and I get it. That's what some people want. But I felt like this newest movie was more of a movie that really understood the fans and all fans, so that there was something for everybody in it. So before this, I'd say I thought it was like the second. The first Broly movie, where Vegeta's freaking out.
Yeah, that was a good one.
And then after that, even though I don't think it was technically a movie, it might have been a TV special, but the history of Trunks was still is one of my favorites too.
I love that one too. I think Future Gohan is badass, so I have to agree with you on that one.
I call him Future No Arm.
Future No Arm, that's funny. That's a good one. Now, you guys have both very recognizable voices these days. I mean, the fans know when you guys when somebody sounds just like you, close to the character or not. Example, the Bridge series. Everybody says that Vegeta sounds just like you in the Bridge series. So, working on Vegeta for so long, how did you guys find the perfect fit for these characters?
In the same way that the Team 4-Star guys did. We we had a very interesting way of having to handle finding these characters, which changed from the beginning of the series to the middle. But when we first started working on Dragon Ball Z, we were actually trying to mimic the voices that Funimation had already cast in Canada. Because as you're probably aware, there was a Canadian cast for a handful of episodes at the beginning of the Dragon Ball Z series. So when they decided to change it to an American cast, because it was very difficult to keep the Canadian cast members consistent, and since there were like 3 or 4 Gokus in Canada, it was really, they were having a hard time having anyone commit to the show for a long period of time.
Right.
So they decided to bring it to Texas. So our job at the start was basically trying to parrot what we heard in the Canadian version. And then over time, the goal was always for us to kind of slowly develop their voices into something else and then cover it back up again. So that's what we ended up doing. Then when we got to things like Trunks and the Android Saga, stuff that hadn't been touched by Canada, you know, that was just a matter of looking at the picture, trying to figure out a little bit about them, and cast like that. I wish I could say we were inspired by the Japanese voices, but we never got to hear them. Long story short, Funimation had a difficult time getting the materials from Japan in a timely fashion, because Dragon Ball Z was huge at that point, and I think those materials were floating somewhere on a boat outside of Osaka or something like that. They just could not get Funimation the materials on time. So we ended up having to borrow materials from the people who were dubbing Dragon Ball Z in Mexico. So even if we could, even in the chances that we had to watch the original videos, we had to watch them in Spanish. So we never really got the Japanese voices as any sort of guide or inspiration for it.
Interesting. I never knew that.
Yeah. It's. We had some really weird materials at the start. We didn't have very good translations, which is why some of the original series had kind of funky changes from the Japanese. And we were also having to fight, you know, back in the early days when we were dubbing this in 1998, 99, we were also having to battle the stereotype that, you know, cartoons are for children. And so anything that was really violent, people were kind of up in arms about it first, and they were threatening not to even let us put it on TV. So there was some stuff that just had to be changed just so that Funimation didn't get sued by some parent who thought we corrupted their children.
Right. Understandable. It's definitely understandable. So while we're speaking on voices, you specifically, before actually the movie released in the theaters, there were multiple trailers that released of Vegeta talking, and you started receiving criticism for your voice change. Now, obviously, we know why your voice changed. It's been years, you know, that you play Vegeta. But how did you feel when you started seeing the criticism for your voice change in Vegeta?
I don't mind it at all. I'm so used to criticism. I typically, you know, I read all of it with a grain of salt. The voices that they heard in clips online were completely out of character, and Vegeta was, for the most part, completely out of character in this feature. So, I know where Vegeta's range is, and I think that some people are maybe disappointed that I don't treat him with the same sort of heavy-handed, like, over-the-top voice that I did when we started. I just feel like he's matured, and I think he sounds, now that all the translations are accurate and the show seems more up to date, and I feel like this is the right voice for Vegeta, as well as Piccolo. I just don't, I feel like if you lay it on too thick with him, he becomes comical. And I wanted him to feel really sincere in the movie. And I think anyone who watches it won't be bothered by the voices at all.
Yeah, well, I have to say that I definitely wasn't bothered. I think Piccolo was definitely voiced well, as always. And I think Vegeta was good, too, because like you said, you know, he was definitely out of character for most of this movie because, you know, he was actually out of character because he was trying to save the world, which is crazy for us to say for Vegeta, except for the Buu saga, because most of the time he's always been so to himself, but he was actually trying to be the hero this time. So yeah, I do agree.
And he was trying to save the world by lowering his pride, which is certainly something he's never done before. He was a kind of a bumbling husband during this feature. I actually loved it. I thought Vegeta's character in the new movie rivals Goku's as far as just being a more interesting story. Like, I was more interested to find out what was going to happen with Vegeta than I was with Goku in this film.
Right. Real quick, I think one of my favorite parts of that movie was the part where he screams, "That's my Bulma." How did that come up? Was that just something that you guys scripted, or was it just, how did that part come up?
In the script, it said, "My Bulma" or "my wife." It said it had both of those lines in the script.
Okay.
And so I chose "my Bulma" because I thought adding her name to it just really, like, doesn't just mean, like, don't touch my wife because she's my property. Don't touch my Bulma because that humanizes Bulma in a way. And I just love the fact that he was so protective of her. And I also love Sean Schimmel's impression of me at the end of the film.
Right.
Which made me laugh and made Sean laugh even when we were recording it.
Everybody in the theater laughed where I seen it. I laughed at that part. That was really funny. I really love that part. Now, speaking of voices, you know, beyond the show and beyond the movies, you guys have worked with Funimation and, you know, other companies on these Dragon Ball Z games that have released so many games throughout the years. And Dragon Ball Z Xenoverse is actually coming out soon. Are you excited for that?
Very much so. We're still in the process of working through the voices on that as we speak. It's still in the process. Xenoverse is looking to be a really awesome title. So far, I haven't gotten to play a lot of it, but I did get to go to Namco Bandai to try it out. And the one thing that really stuck out to me, even over the fighting system, which, you know, maybe I don't know if I'm the best person to rate a fighting system because I'm pretty bad at fighting games, honestly, in general. So, but the customization options in the game, I think, are what's going to make the game really endearing. It should be fun.
Definitely, a lot of fans are excited for that customization. That's something that we never really got to do in the Dragon Ball Z game, so that's a great addition. So
exactly, and there are some new characters that you're going to be introduced to that will be pretty interesting for fans to kind of explore and wonder about. So.
Okay. Now, speaking on games real quick, what's your favorite for Dragon Ball Z game?
Mine is still like Budokai, and the Budokai games. Budokai 3 was really awesome. Partially because it was so new, it was so fascinating for me. There was a PSP game, and I can't remember what it was, but I loved it. Like, I played the hell out of the PSP, like, fighter. I forgot what it was called. It was like Tenkaichi Tag or something like that.
Yep. That's what it's called. Yep.
Yeah, I dug that one.